I don't want to do this anymore. You ever have that feeling where you just don't want to do it anymore? Or it's just too hard? You can't really get out of bed, or you just can't do no more. In fact, my son was, oh, how old was he? He must have been he must have been 3 years old because it was my daughter's first Christmas. And it snowed early that year in Calgary. So I got into the Christmas spirit just a little bit earlier than uh, normal. I started shopping in October. By the time November came around, I had a lot of presents already purchased. And then when I started wrapping them come December, I thought it'd be fun to wrap all the parts and pieces. Well, my son had a lot of presents to unwrap that year. And he started. He got a fair way through, but he wasn't even halfway through when he finally put up his hands and he bent over and said, I can't do no more. It was the cutest thing for this little 3-year-old boy to say he couldn't open another present on Christmas morning. And that's how it can feel in your business, your career, and even in your family life. You can be overwhelmed by how much there is to do. And you can just feel like you can't do no more. I know, I've been there. When soon after my divorce, or separation, I should say, because I wasn't quite divorced yet. My divorce took a long time to happen. But there was so much to do. And my parents are doers. That's their thing. They aren't thinkers. I mean, I'm not saying they're not smart. They're very smart people. But their value system is based on getting things done. We do the work and then we can sit and read a book. We do the work and then we can think out about how to create world peace. It was always work, and if there was more time, then you could have fun. So getting things done is very important to my parents. Now, like I said, I'm in this is probably a year into my long separation, and there was a lot that I still had to do because not only was I newly divorced, I was working at the time. Was I working? Did I get done? Might have lost my job at that time too. I had a lot going on. There was like so much to do. And my mom would call me almost every day saying, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And it would just stress me out, knowing all the things that I had to do. And all I wanted to do was stick my head in the sand and not think about any of it. Not do any of it, because I can't do no more. But here's the thing. Not doing it still has to get done. But it's overwhelming. So what I finally told my mom was, look, I've got a plate. And on that plate, I can put a balanced meal. A bit of steak, some potatoes, some veggies, and everything else has to stay in the Chinese smorgasbord. So when I'm done with the steak, I can go to the Chinese smorgasbord and maybe put in some sweet and sour pork. When I'm done with the potatoes, then maybe I can go to the Chinese smorgasbord and put in some, I don't know, chop suey. But that's how I had to look at it. I had to say, okay, I can manage 3 things. I can't do any more. But I know that those things have to be done. But which 3 things have to be done right now? Then what can I do? Then what can I do? So it was about prioritizing, putting it down, saying, okay, this is the list. Yes, some things I was going to get dinged, going to have to pay more interest on or get fined for something. Couldn't be helped because other things were more important. Well, at least in my opinion. Now, what I was working on wasn't the same thing as what my mother thought that I should be working on. Because once again, we had different values. Her values were very much more about action and like health, eating healthy, exercising. She was at a different part in her life. She was retired, right? So she's focusing, has a different focus in life. Meanwhile, I was a single mom full time with 2 kids with no one to take them even for an hour. And I was responsible for everything. I wasn't getting full child support. I was getting a little bit of half child support. And there was just so much going on. So I had to work and I had to take care of them and I had to drive them places and I had to, all the things that you do together as a couple or with, if you have family or babysitters, I was doing all of that plus working full time. So yeah, you have a different, my priorities were different than my mother's priorities. But until I communicated that, there was conflict, there was pressure, there was stress. Now, she was stressed out because she wanted me to get things done. And in her stress, she was pushing me, which was creating my stress. Okay, whatever, it becomes this like complete circle going through. But until she realized that I had a plan, so as soon as she realized I had a plan, I knew exactly what I was going to be doing, when I was going to be doing what. She had less stress, which meant less pushing on me, which meant I had less stress and could actually work on those things. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you have other people kind of pressing on you, maybe the credit card company's calling you. I've been there. I went to credit court. I was the only one to show up. The lawyer was quite surprised that I had actually showed up, but yeah, so, but if they're calling you, if your creditors are calling you, or maybe, well, especially, okay, let's say your creditors are calling you. Well, what they need to know is that you have a plan, that, yeah, you know that you owe them money and you'll get it to them. But if you go to a person who is skilled in credit debt reduction and managing your debt, right, all that debt that you have, you'll get some great advice. They'll be able to communicate with your debtors and create a plan of action that will stop those phone calls. But if you keep your head in the sand, those calls will continue to come and you won't get, and you'll still continue to feel overwhelmed. What I'm saying is that in today's world, of all the news that are coming down the pipeline, of all the things that are on your day-to-day list, everything that needs to get done, guess what? Not everything needs to get done today. When my son calls me and he's upset that he didn't get enough done or he made a mistake, I always tell him, well, did you do your best? Even if you didn't do your best, you did what you did today, can't change it, but tomorrow you'll do better. So just remind yourself that tomorrow you'll do better and wake up in the morning and say, I got to do better and try to do better. Because the only way that you're going to get ahead, the only way that you're going to fix your life is by taking action, not whining about it, not feeling like, oh, woe is me. I come up with this excuse and that excuse. And boy, oh boy, nobody gives a crap. I'm not kidding. Nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody cares about why you can't get out of bed, why you can't pick up the phone, why you can't get a job, why you can't pay a bill. They don't care. They only care that you're not doing it. And they only care when it's done. If you can take just one step, do one thing every day to solve one of the problems that you face, you're gonna become more confident. You're going to move away from that place of victimhood, because as you take action, as you move forward to solve those problems, to become less overwhelmed, you'll become a hero. And that action will help you to change your life. And you'll be able to start seeing opportunities instead of all the negativity that you see. I know, I've been there. I'm not kidding, I've been there. I've been in that woe is me pit of victimization. I just didn't stay there. I had other things to do than sit and blame my ex for every little thing that happened to me. Okay, maybe I did blame him, but that didn't mean I had to stay there. You are given a life. What are you going to do with it? I'm not living the life that I probably should be living. I am not doing the stuff that I probably should be doing to get ahead. But I'm doing one thing today, making this video. Let's see, what have I done today? I did 6 reports, made this video, listened to some of the news, talked to the person that's getting me a contract. So once I started listing all the stuff that I've done, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I've actually done a lot today. I just have so much more that needs to be done. But you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. It'll get done. What needs to be done first? The stuff that's going to make me money. What can I do after? Well, stuff like this video, where hopefully I'm going to help you have a little less stress, be a little less overwhelmed, and realize that you're not alone. We've all been there, but you can get out from under it. You just have to figure out what is important, what matters now, what doesn't matter. Make the list, put 3 things on your plate, and put everything else in that Chinese buffet. You'll get to it. Some things you may need help, like that credit counselor, right? So if there's things that you are on your plate or on your list that you may be able to delegate to someone for help, take it, do it. I was terrible at asking for help. I'm still terrible at asking for help. Now that has a lot to do with my upbringing, but don't let it stop you. I mean, I get it. If you have a hard time asking for help, I understand. Most people that are overachievers, or, I mean, most depressed people do. A lot of overachievers don't. You know what? I'm not really sure who has trouble asking for help and who doesn't. Maybe if you know, put it in the comments, because right there, those were assumptions. But try to find, like, if you don't want to ask a friend or your parents or your kids for help on stuff, well, maybe find professionals that can do those things for you. Now, here's the thing about kids. My kids were doing things at a very young age. Now, like I said, I was a single mom working full time with 2 kids. Now, they were both teens at this point. My daughter was 10, 11. So by the time she was 12, she was doing the grocery shopping for the family with my credit card and not me. Okay, how did that work? Well, you see, I started teaching my kids how to do grocery shopping at a very young age. When we go to the grocery store, so when they were little, we go down the list, and I go, okay, let's get this. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I mean, sometimes they'd want something, and I would tell them, put it on the list. A lot of those things that they wanted were from the toy aisle at Walmart. And I'd always say, you can take a look, but put it on the list. There's no fights, no arguments, because it was on the list. They may not be getting it today, but oh, I might get it next. I might get it at Christmas, might get it for my birthday, might get it later. The word no didn't come in. I heard a lady use it in in a store once, and I was like, yes. And it did. It worked for her just as well as it worked for me. Put it on the list. But anyway, so when we go grocery shopping, when they were younger, they would help in this decision making of certain items. But once we got to the cashier, it was their job, if once they were a little bit bigger, to take the items out of the cart and put it on the conveyor belt. And as they put them, so they did that for a few years. Then it was their job to bag it when they were a bit older and understand how you put eggs and bread on the top, not underneath in those bags, and understand that this is how much it works. And of course, help bring it into the house, help put the stuff away. Then when they got to a certain age, I gave them the card, even though I was standing there. It's like, okay, you pay for it. Watch the numbers, see how much everything is. Is it the right number? So, I mean, I'd watch it with them, but sometimes they would catch something. But they would know how much those groceries were at the end of the whole this thing. And then they would have to pay for the groceries, get the receipt, and do the whole thing. So by the time my daughter was 12 years old, she was very familiar with what we bought, how we decided on which apple to get or which watermelon to buy, which brand of cookies to get. She was very price conscious as well. She understood, okay, well, this one's on sale, so maybe we'll get it because it's on sale, but we'd never buy this when it's not on sale. She already understood those things. So when I was able to give her my credit card and she was able to walk down to the grocery store, which is literally half a block away. We were still on the same block. We lived right next door to the grocery store. She was able to go get some groceries and bring them back. She made the list because her and her brother started to cook when they were 14, 15. They both learned how to cook by working in a kitchen. My son worked at Sammy J's and my daughter worked at Brown's Social House in the kitchen and learned how to cook. So what things around you, what chores do you have that your kids can learn how to do, whether it's laundry or sweep vacuuming, or like there's lots of things that your children need to know in order to become adults. And you can start teaching them how to do that, how to take those things off your plate. Now, my kids never really liked, filling the dishwasher, or, you have arguments with kids when the chores are stuff that they don't want to do. But there's chores that they will want to do that you would like to get off your plate. And parents are there as well to help you out. Mine were 6 hours away, and sometimes that was too close, but they were there. My mom, I very adapt at, my mom would come and she'd say, okay, you're taking over. And she'd take over and then they leave, and then my life would get back to the way it was again. But if you have friends that can help, or maybe you can help each other. Hey, I'm taking the kids to the park. Want to come to the park and just have a break? Sometimes it's just a phone call that your friend needs, or maybe you need. Feeling overwhelmed can cause a lot of stress, can cause depression, can cause you to feel like you're never going to get ahead. I want you to think of ways that you can step away from needing to get everything done. How important is it that you sweep the floor every day? So a lot of the things that you think are really important, some of the things are going to be really important to you, and yeah, you're going to want to get them done because that's your value. Remember when I said about my mom having the value of getting stuff done? You do the work and then you can have some fun. You do the work and then you relax. Well, that gets tiring if you have too much, right? So when I was growing up, my mom would just take everything that was clutter and she'd throw it into the laundry room. So she always would say, well, she'd go to my place, she'd be like, oh, I used to have the house so clean, da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, until you open the door to the laundry room. And then she'd be like, oh, yeah, right. I did have that room, didn't I? So don't compare yourself to your parents. Don't compare yourself to other people. And it's okay to have a laundry room chocked full of crap that needs to be gone through at some point when you have some time. I have a whole storage unit to go through. I will go through it when I have to. Because there's other things that are on the plate right now. So make that list, understand the things that make you stressful. So like what I was saying about the sweeping the floor. If having a dirty floor stresses you out, you're going to want to make sure that you have that clean floor. But if having a bit of a dirty floor doesn't stress you out, well, maybe you can get to it tomorrow or the next day, and it's okay. Just don't let it go too long. Overwhelm can kill your happiness. It can kill your productivity and your effectiveness. If you're at work and you're just getting demands thrown at you left and right, like when I was working in an office, I would have one boss, two boss, just giving me stuff constantly. The phone would be ringing. But I was also in my 20s and I could multitask and I was doing a really good job of it. Well, when you're tired, when you've got all this stuff in your personal life, and then you come to work and you've got all this stuff at work, once again, you need to have a system to help you identify what has to be done right away, what can wait a little bit, and how are you going to remember to do the stuff that you can wait. So I had a filing system where I would just file once again, email was brand new, okay? But I had a file, so I take the paperwork and put it in the day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And in the morning, I pick up that file, I go through it and go, okay, I got to do these things today. And I would get that stuff done as other stuff would be filed for other days. Or I'd be like, okay, that needs to get done. Because there are certain things that have to be done right away. When someone called in and said, hey, I want to sell yeah, this was a long time ago. I want to sell Nortel at $50 a share. You had to sell Nortel at $50 a share at that moment. But if it was, hey, can you fill in this form and get it to the client? We have an appointment next week. I knew I could file that in for the next. I would put it aside, and if it didn't get done that day, I would put it in for tomorrow, knowing that it had to get done before the client came in on that day. Distractions. Yep. Overwhelm. We can get overwhelmed because we get distracted. We get distracted by things that we want to be doing, the things we think are fun, or we just want to know what's going on social media, what's going on in the news. We think that this action here is more important than getting stuff done. Figure out what's distracting you. What is wasting your time? What is keeping you from getting the stuff that you need to get done so that you can then not feel so overwhelmed? Did you waste a bunch of time playing some game on your phone or talking to some boy on a dating app? When is it appropriate to be doing those things? Block time. I'm a big believer in time blocking and time management. Because when you have time management and you block the time, I'm a hyper-focused kind of person. I focus on something to the point where I don't know what's going on around me. In fact, when I'm working in an office, I'm usually having people throw stuff at me just to get my attention because they've been calling my name for 5 minutes. And finally, they throw a wad of paper at my head to get me to stop doing what I'm doing. But most people don't focus or have the ADHD to focus that way. So figure out how your brain works, how you work, how do you get stuff done? And at the end, figure out, what did I do today? Nothing? Well, maybe you did do a lot. You just need to remember what you did. to have that sense of achievement, because that sense of achievement is going to help you feel better about yourself, feel better about your day, feel better about what you're going to be able to achieve tomorrow. So the more you achieve today, the more confidence you'll have in achieving things tomorrow, and the less overwhelmed you'll feel. You know what? I've talked way too much. And if you're listening to this going on, chances are you're not doing what you need to be doing. So go and do it. And until next time, peel out.